I am so excited to speak to all of you. I have a story. I have a story about the future of Berkeley and how it can be incredibly bright. It's already bright, but even brighter based on what we're doing at SkyDeck, what we're doing at Berkeley, and what we can do with all of you and the whole big Berkeley community. You ready to hear about it? Yeah. All right. So what I'd like to do is also point out that we're going to have a couple startups here. Have you folks seen the Kiwi bots running around campus? Right? We have one here today. One of the founders of Kiwi, Sasha, is here. So we're going to have him show off his Kiwi. Another one of our founders will come a little bit later and show off a very cool technology. First of all, I'd love to know who's here. Current students. Any current students? Right on? Right on. Alums? Alums? Right? Right on. Haas alums or other? How about Haas? How many Haas alums? A lot of Haas alums. Other alums? Other alums? And just friends of bears? Friends of bears? People, friends of bears. We need you, friends. Okay. All right. Fantastic. All right. So to talk about how we can do this moonshot, how we can really do these moonshots, and I'm going to tell you what that is. Let's talk about how we got to the place where we could build a huge launching pad for startups, a huge, powerful launching pad. So let's start when I got my MBA here, back when we were at Barrows Hall, in the Barrows dungeon, we like to call it. Any Barrows survivors here? Got a couple here. Fantastic. All right. I love it that I was here during that time because I get to see up close and personal Haas then and Haas now. And it's amazing. It's incredible. I am so proud of our school and what we have collectively done to raise this school up to the very top of business schools. And it's wonderful to see it keep on growing. We're going to get to number one, right? Right, ladies? Yes, we are. So that was 1990. Now, fast forward to today. How many folks have seen the SkyDeck building and the big, huge logo on top? Excellent. This is where we are today. When I got my MBA in 1990, no entrepreneurship programs, no startup incubator. I always knew I wanted to be a startup founder, so I got my friend Tony and we wrote a business plan, that's what we did back then, to do a waste minimization company. That was actually my first startup after I graduated. That was the pressing problem of the day. That's what startups do. They address the pressing problems of the day. But now today, we have SkyDeck, we have entrepreneurship, Haas has programs, Haas has launch incubator and accelerator, we have the foundry. It is a cultural shift on campus from startups and business, that's not what we do, to startups and business. Apply our research, bring our research to the world and have it solve problems. And let's make that an intentional focus. Entrepreneurship and innovation is one of the chancellor's top priorities. It's one of the top priorities specifically within the Office of Research. It's totally different than we were here when we had our MBAs, right? And so now we have lots of startups at SkyDeck. About 100 in our current portfolio right now. We're 2 floors in this building, the downtown SkyDeck building, the top floor, the penthouse. Why do we call it SkyDeck? Because we're at this wonderful top floor. We have the 3rd floor as well. Why the 3rd floor? Well, it has the building's only deck, so we have the sky and the deck, right? And we love it. We absolutely love it. We also now have space in San Francisco that we share with Extension, and we're opening up drop-in space in cooperation with the Foundry here on campus. So we're moving. We're getting bigger. We want to grow even more. So let's talk a little bit about the entrepreneurial DNA at Berkeley, because it's extremely powerful. It always has been. So a couple of companies you probably know, and maybe some things you don't know. So you all know that Gordon Moore, founder of Intel, Cal grad, credits some of the work he did here with developing Intel, a very active supporter of Cal, right? What you probably don't know is that Elon Musk did not found Tesla. He came on board about the Series A. The founders were 2 gentlemen, one of whom was Mark Tarpenning. Mark is an advisor at SkyDeck. He's very active supporting our startups by giving them advice. But he and his friend Martin Eberhard were the founders of Tesla. So Tesla was founded by Berkeley, right? So now you all know that. Now you all know that. Spread the word, spread the word, spread the word. And you probably all know about Woz, the story. He was a Cal undergrad, dropped out because he had to make more money to pay for his senior year, started working with his friend Steve Jobs. The rest is history. But he came back to finish his degree. And he could have gone anywhere in the world at that point, but he came back to Berkeley. He wanted a Berkeley degree, which he finished. That's a little extra to the story that maybe you don't know. So what's going on now? Have you all heard of Jennifer Doudna? Yes. Discoverer of the CRISPR-Cas9 gene editing technology, which may turn out to be one of the biggest scientific discoveries, period. It may end up solving all genetic disease. And Jennifer is the inventor and discoverer of this technology, without question. The entire scientific community recognizes that. She started a few companies. One of them may be our next moonshot out of Berkeley, right? So, what are we doing at SkyDeck, right? Let's quickly go through the program. I know some of you have been there. We have some folks here. We have one of the founders of SkyDeck, which I'll introduce in a minute, and my husband and daughter who have been there many times. Some founders, and I know some of you have been. But let's go through it quickly, and then we're going to have lots of times for questions so you can ask me more details. So what do we do at SkyDeck? We incubate and accelerate. We do both. Acceleration is a formal process, 6 months. They receive an investment, and we're getting them from point A to point B, ready for a demo day. Incubate, a more unstructured program. I get a lot of questions about what's the difference. That's the difference. So what do? We're open to all Berkeley, all UC campuses now, all of the 10 campuses. So if you're affiliated with any one of our 10 campuses, student, faculty, staff, alumni, any of the alumni here, if you have a startup, you are most welcome to apply to SkyDeck, and we're open to global founders. There's a lot of companies outside the US that want to come and launch here in Silicon Valley, but you can't just show up and put up your sign at Phil's Coffee, right? You have to connect to a network, and that's what we do. We always look first and foremost at applications from Berkeley affiliates. That's always the ones that we look first at. So when SkyDeck was set up, it was really a bold move. The campus leadership said, let's do an experiment with a startup incubator, and let's really make it as successful as we can. So the leadership is the board of directors for SkyDeck is these positions: Dean of Haas, Dean of Engineering, and Vice Chancellor for Research. They set it up in this beautiful floor on the top of the tallest floor in the building. They fully funded it, and they said, let's see if this works. And that was in 2012. Now 2018, that bet is starting to pay off. But it's important to know, this was a bold move. First of all, the university said, we're going to fully fund it, give it this great space, and take no equity. We're not going to charge fees, not do any of these things that would mitigate our risk, right? We're just going to go right in and do it. That was bold. Reflects my favorite Haas-defining principle: question the status quo. Everybody else is charging taking equity out of the startups at universities. They're charging rent. They're not really going all in. We're not going to do that at Berkeley. We're going to try something bold. And they did. So what is acceleration? Again, you have to get a startup, give it some real resources, some real coaching, some real guidance. So we have a method for that. We call it, of course, the Berkeley Acceleration Method. Brief overview of it. There's 6 areas that we focus on. Intensive workshop at the very beginning of the cohort. We run them through these workshops with these experts, and we're looking to de-risk those startups so that when they graduate from the program and they're ready to meet investors, they have heard from experts and been in touch with people who have made the mistakes that send startups over cliffs so that they don't do that. On top of that, there's a ton of resources. Startups are very hungry for technology. They can't pay for it, they can't afford it. So we have a whole network of advisors, vendors, law firms, et cetera, that provide free discounted resources specifically for startups. Quick note about what's really special about SkyDeck. I don't know of any other accelerator anywhere in the world that is quite like SkyDeck. Most universities put a incubator or accelerator on campus, but they don't structure it kind of in the Silicon Valley, get you from point A to point B, introduce you to investors, move you as fast as possible. Or they partner with an accelerator that's next to campus, but the university doesn't own it, just simply benefits from it being there. SkyDeck is different. SkyDeck is fully Berkeley. We're technically a research unit of campus. Our staff is all Berkeley employees. That's very different. Again, question the status quo. Try something different. And at the end of the 6-month program, what do? We invite hundreds of investors in, and we present them at a demo day. That's Felipe, the founder of Kiwi, the founder of this wonderful company that makes Kiwi bots. Highly recommend. You can download their app, Kiwi. And Felipe's vision was to create a last-mile delivery company that was affordable for everybody, for students, for everybody. Delivery is expensive, right? Many people go to download apps for delivery and they can't afford it. Kiwi's vision was to make this affordable, and they've done an amazing job creating something that's not just this bot, but they have the Kiwi trike and they have the restaurant bot. They have a modular system that smartly integrates and understands where's the human, where's the robot, how do we get the food from point A to point B without it costing so much money that people can't afford. That's a vision. That's a vision. That's not a robot company. That's a last mile delivery service for all humanity vision. So that's where demo day was. That's the SkyDeck building. So you can see we have an incredible view. See the Campanile up there? So that's looking west back towards campus, or looking east rather. And you can see it's crowded. We actually have to move demo day, so our next demo day, which is November 7, will be on campus at Poly Ballroom. And if you are an investor, it is an event for investors. Go to our website, click on the request an invitation button. We have more room. We can fit over 400 investors, and we definitely welcome you to come. So let's hear from some of our founders a bit. We have a little video. It's me yakking away at the beginning, but we're going to hear some of the words of our founders. Berkeley SkyDeck is UC Berkeley's global startup accelerator. We accept startups from UC Berkeley, from all University of California campuses, and global founders from around the world who want to come and launch their startups here in Silicon Valley.
We really want to help a lot of our team succeed. We put $100,000 into every company that goes through our cohort.
It's sort of this hybrid academic entrepreneurial atmosphere.
We believe that SkyDeck is the right place for a lot of entrepreneurs, and also, of course, the campus just behind me.
This has sort of lifted our company to another level. It's really elevated us, and I think we're going to be much more ready to raise a large round of funding.
Berkeley SkyDeck is important for us because it allows us as a company to be able to get in rooms that we weren't otherwise able to get into.
It's sort of a game changer for us, having access to people that have made it in these industries that we're targeting.
You cannot get this kind of resources from anybody out there. There's the lazy money and there's the good money. So this is not only the money, but the amount of resources we get is a lot more valuable than the 100,000.
You will not find an accelerator with a more dedicated staff, a more excited community, and a broader network of talent and resources to help your startup.
This has been one of the most pivotal things, if not the most pivotal thing I've done in my whole life.
Pivotal. Thank you. Pivotal thing. So that's what we hear from our startups. That's what gets us up in the morning, early in the morning, and late at night on Slack working for these folks, because we hear back from them that it really is helping them take that moonshot. So where are we with SkyDeck? Let's look at some metrics. I'm a Haas alum. We must look at our metrics, right? So we have a great start. About $800 million raised by all of the Sky teams of the startups that have gone through our program. Significant number of raised A and B rounds, the later rounds of financing. About $500,000 in free or discounted stuff when you add up the space and the guidance and the free stuff from Amazon Web Services, from Adobe Creative Suite, from GitHub, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We've had about 9 companies be acquired, exit through acquisition. Sadly, we hadn't invested in them, but that will change. You're going to hear about that. Last in demo day, 350. Thank goodness. We have a larger space on campus to go to. It was rather tight. And then this last number, that's what's really interesting. If you look at standard funds raised, this is seed funding, right? A seed fund of about $1.5 million. Very low, something like 10% average of all startups. 75% of the last cohort, that was the first cohort that our fund invested in and had the full support of the SkyDeck Fund and our expanded program. That's a number. That's a number. That's 75%. And maybe one of them is a moonshot. So here's our team. We're a small but mighty team of 5. These are the folks that work for UC Berkeley. These gentlemen work for the fund, and you're going to hear a lot more about that in a minute. The Berkeley SkyDeck Fund, our private venture capital fund that we partner with to invest in the companies. And then Ludwig is a Haas MBA, a second-year MBA that launched our startup squad. Naresh is a postdoc. There is so much talent on campus. Do you know how many postdocs are on campus? Over 2,000. Most of them science and engineering. Most of them looking for interesting things to do. So Naresh brings them to SkyDeck and partners with our teams to do deep learning, to do technology, science. Ludwig brings the MBAs to do business development, et cetera. 10,000 grad students on campus. Up the hill, the Lawrence Berkeley Lab. There are more scientists and engineers in this immediate area probably than anywhere else in the world. And that is a rich environment. That is an environment where if you add a little bit, just a little bit, it will grow, it will explode. And if you really put the full weight of the University of California at Berkeley behind it, that's why I think we can do a moonshot. So, what does this talk about? Let's get to the point, right? The Berkeley SkyDeck Fund is a private venture capital fund. It's all private VC money. It's a separate VC fund like any venture capital fund, and it has an operating agreement. It partners with Berkeley, and that operating agreement specifies that 50% of the fund profits will come to campus. 1/2 of what that fund profits is coming right here. So all we have to do is find the next Intel, the next Apple, the next Tesla, invest in it. The Berkeley SkyDeck Fund takes a 5% equity ownership. If the fund maintains that ownership and that company gets to $1 trillion, this is really thinking big, right? This is what Berkeley does, think big. If I'm not mistaken, 5% of $1 trillion is 50 billion. Half of that is 25 billion. We could fund Berkeley for the next 500 years. Right? Yes, exactly. That's right. That's the moonshot. That's the moonshot we're trying to take. That's why we're finding companies like Kiwi. We're finding these amazing companies, and we're going to invest in them. And 1, 2, 3 of them, some of them, they're not only going to become gigantic companies, but they're going to solve the world's biggest problems, because that's what we do at Berkeley. So let's talk a bit about the fund and why it's turning out to be so exciting. So that's Chan Tang. He's the general partner of the SkyDeck Fund. We are incredibly smart and fortunate. We were smart that we asked him to run the fund, and we were fortunate he said yes, because he's incredible. He's amazing. He himself is a startup founder, as am I. Very important we bring that understanding to the program. Ran a hedge fund. He's, of course, a Cal alum, right? Of course, he's a bear, right? And when I said, I want you to run this fund, and I want you to give up half your personal profits, he said, yeah, I'm in, because of the value that it brings to Berkeley. And because he saw the power of the SkyDeck program, and he saw the university behind it. He saw that I had been a startup founder myself. My 2 companies that I co-founded, NeuroFocus and BoardVantage, both exited for $250 million valuation each. So I've been in the trenches. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to put every chip on the table and then work your rear off to make that turn into something. So together, we raised the fund, and usually it takes about 18 months to raise a fund one. We did it in less than 6 months, and it's all, as I mentioned, private capital. Sequoia, Mayfield, Sierra Ventures, institutional investors who are investing in this not because they like Berkeley, because they're alums, because Go Bears, because they think this is a good business opportunity and that they will benefit. The most important word that we used when we did our pitches was Berkeley. That was the most important word. The other important word was SkyDeck. Not just Berkeley, but you have an intentional institutional vision to support these startups and bring in the whole community, we're in. That's how we closed that fund so fast. That's the power of Berkeley. So why is this important to me? Why? For one thing, this is a blast. I'm absolutely enjoying this. After I sold NeuroFocus, I was thinking about starting my own incubator, and Berkeley said, why don't you run SkyDeck? That was 3.5 years ago. We built the program, we established the acceleration, and I'm having an absolute time of my life. It's also incredibly important to me because my family has 3 generations of Cal Bears. So I know some of you have heard this story. My mother went to Berkeley. My father went to Berkeley. They met on campus. My uncle went to Berkeley. My brother went to Berkeley. I'm an MBA Cal alum. My cousin went to Berkeley. Here we all are. My son is a freshman. So this means a lot to me. I am all in. I am all in. So that's my parents in front of the Campanile looking at South Hall in 1947, the year they graduated. So why do I think this has a chance? Why do I think we have a chance of getting to these huge returns, of finding the next Moonshot startup? Well, some of the reasons we talked about, right? But let me highlight really what it is. So first, Berkeley itself, the talent, the thousands and thousands of people that are here, the labs, the resources, the cutting edge research. This value, question the status quo, right? That's startup thinking, right? I'm not going to do what everybody else did. I'm going to do something different. Number 2, and this is incredibly important, where are we? We're in the broader Silicon Valley, right? So if you took Berkeley and you put it in a nice shovel and you put it somewhere that is not Silicon Valley, this would not be the potential that it is. Because we are in the middle of investors, of people, of advisors, of other startup founders, this whole network of experts on how to start, launch, grow, and support a startup. Those people are here. There are other areas in the world that are getting exciting for startups, but there is nothing like Silicon Valley for the sheer amount of expertise and investment focused on the founders here. People want to come here and launch their businesses, so that's number 2. But here's the biggest reason why I think we can find the next Moonshot startup, and that's the power of our network. UC Berkeley has arguably the world's most powerful network. 500,000 living Berkeley alums. Did you all know that number? I didn't know it until recently. That's 500 million people alive in the world who went to Berkeley. And when we call them up at SkyDeck and say, we don't want your money, we want a little bit of your time to talk to a startup, give them your expertise, make some introductions, support them, the answer is almost always yes. When we ask people who are not Berkeley alums, the answer is almost always yes, because they see the power of this vision and they want to support our public education mission. They want to help us keep going in our relentless pursuit of knowledge for the greater good. Everybody can get behind that, and that's the moonshot for Berkeley that we're trying to take. So we're at Haas, lots of Haas alums here. I wanted to talk about how instrumental Haas has been and still is in the founding of SkyDeck. So Rich Lyons was one of the founders, the founding board. Rich was dean when that was founded. We have one of the founders of SkyDeck here, Letice. She and her husband David are very involved at campus. David is an adjunct professor. Lee is very active at SkyDeck, supporting our teams and doing so much for us in terms of our expansion and growth. We couldn't do it without her. Please, everybody, give Lee a round of applause. Thank you. And very important, her winery, Mount Beautiful Wines, donates all the wine for SkyDeck events. It's delicious. I highly recommend it. Mount Beautiful Wines. So, who's coming out of SkyDeck? We got Kiwi Bot. We have another startup here, Resonance Software. We're going to talk about their incredible technology. They're one of our global founder teams. Have you all heard of Lime Bike? Yeah? So Lime went through SkyDeck as a hot dust team incubator track. Sadly, the Berkeley SkyDeck Fund was not up and running when they were a small company, and we could have invested. But we have a little tiny slice of Lime via our investment. But this is the kind of thing that's coming out of Berkeley. Toby's son is a Haas alum, right? Involved with SkyDeck, helping our community, helping our network. We're supporting them. They presented at our last demo day. We're on Team Lime. You know, there's a big rush to dominate the world of dockless bike shares and scooters, and we're all Team Lime. Go Lime. That's a moonshot, right? It's worth $1 billion in, when did it start? 5 years ago? 6 years ago? What is Lime? So Lime started as a dockless bike sharing. So a bike sharing company where you don't have to park it in a dock, right? China's been doing this for years. We're finally getting caught up here. And now they're moving into all mobility sharing. So they have electric scooters. I think they have other items as well. But they're at a valuation of about $1 billion. So that's one of our moonshots. So I talked about $50 billion and getting $25 billion. That's so far down the horizon, right? That's exciting and fun to talk about. But we actually do have a number that we think we can get to in the next 5, 6, 7 years. If we raise a fund too, and we find some of those moonshots, and they take their moonshot and we help them. So that number is $100 million. That seems kind of reasonable. When we first started talking about it, it seemed a little bit crazy, but now it doesn't. When we see companies like Lime coming out, when we see our companies raising, 75% of them raising institutional funding after they graduate from SkyDeck, when we have 600 applications for 20 spots, that's a 3 or 4% acceptance rate. When we have applications coming from all over the world, when we have the campus leadership supporting what we do, and most important, that we have the SkyDeck network, which is all of you, Cal alums, supporters, who we can reach out to and say, can you help a startup? Can you make an introduction, right? That number is starting to look, I think we can do that. Do you think we can get there? Yeah. Yes? All right, I'll need your help for all of that. So let's show you some of the logos of the folks that are at SkyDeck right now. That's our current cohort. You can find all this on our website. Go check them out if you haven't seen them already. Some of them, they're every industry imaginable. Hardware, software, biotech, gene therapy, blockchain, enterprise software, consumer. We have it all at SkyDeck. Most accelerators have to pick and choose an industry. They have to focus on something because it's so hard to build a network. We don't have to because we have the power of Berkeley behind us. And not only the whole campus, but 500,000 living alums that we can draw to. So we can take it all, right? Which is incredibly exciting and fun. While Sasha's warming up the Kiwi, I want you all to do something, okay? So Resonance Software has made an app. It's called DropX. And what I want you to do while we're watching the Kiwi is go and download that app. And then we're going to talk you through the founders here. You're going to be able to connect with each other via your phones, recognizing that they are in the same ambient noise environment. Have you ever heard of an app being able to connect devices like that through listening and understanding that your phones are next to each other because of what the technology here is? Have you ever heard of anything like that? No. So while we're watching Kiwi, I want you to go to this URL, dl.getdrop.net, download that app, and we're going to play with it a bit. And Mike, the Karloff, the founder, is here, and he's going to tell you all about it. So, Sasha.
Can you hear me? So Kiwi is building the future of autonomous logistics. We're making deliveries cheaper and faster than ever before by helping people do more deliveries with robots. Today, if you order something on Uber Eats, Postmates, DoorDash, or any of these food-sharing platforms, the courier who's delivering it to your doorstep is going to take probably like 40 minutes. Maybe they're going to be able to do 2 or 3 deliveries an hour. With our multi-model logistics system, we're able to do 6, 8, 10 deliveries an hour with one person. And that's right, we do have people involved in the mix. At first, we tried to do deliveries from the restaurant all the way to your doorstep with just robots, but that was a bad idea. That just was really bad because people were waiting like an hour or and a half hours. It was just super long and super slow. What we found out is actually helping people with those robots was more effective than replacing them. So that's why we have a courier who's picking up food in the restaurant and dropping it off in your neighborhood. And once it's in your neighborhood, the robot does the last few hundred feet, the last few blocks to your doorstep, or it can wait for you while you get your slippers and your coat on. So that's Kiwi in a nutshell.
Right on. Thanks, Sasha. Right on. Hand for Sasha and Kiwi. Thank you. Can you? So what Kiwi is doing is 2 things. They're building robots, but they're also building mapping of sidewalks all over the world. And how you get your food, there's 0 friction. Have you heard the term friction? Friction is when you go to download something and use it, and it's a pain, right? You download the app, you order. The next thing that happens is a Kiwi shows up at your doorstep, and you walk up to it, and you show it the code on your app, and the door opens. That's it. That's it. Easy as 1, 2, 3. So try Kiwi, but download DropX, and we're going to try something here in the room. So give it a try. Open it up. Play with it for a few minutes. And then afterwards, after we finish, Mike is here. He can show you how to do it. And what you're going to find is that your device, when you've given it you press that middle button. I should have a picture up here. But you guys you're smart. You're going to find it. You're going to see people popping up. You have to create a profile on it, right? Facebook is an easy way to do it. If you click through Facebook, it's an easy way to do it. Who's gotten the app up with a profile? A couple people? Excellent. Are you seeing other people pop up? Yeah. Did you have to do anything except just sit there? No. Frictionless. The app has the technology to listen to the ambient noise in the room it's in, and it knows we're all in the same room. There's no other room anywhere on the planet that has this ambient noise right now. And your app is recognizing that. If you step outside the room, it won't work, right? So not only is it totally frictionless, you don't even have to do anything, right? You don't have to scan things or put things in. No friction. It's also very secure. You cannot copy. The noise in this room right now cannot be copied or duplicated in real time. It just can't be. So try it out, check it out. Lots of fun. We've got lots of startups like that at SkyDeck, and we're just getting started. So I like to say the future is blue and gold. I love it that those 2 colors are our campus colors, because there's a term in startups, it's blue ocean, right? Blue ocean means it's wide open. No one's been in there. No one's entered it yet. That's the startups we're looking for. When Apple started, personal computers was blue ocean, right? When Intel started, a chip of that capacity was blue ocean. When Tesla started, were there any electric cars anywhere? No. Blue ocean. Jennifer Doudna, gene editing therapy, hadn't been done. Breakthrough, absolute breakthrough discovery, which likely she'll win the Nobel Prize for, right? That's what we're looking for. We're looking for blue ocean, and we're going to feed them some gold, right? We're going to feed them $100,000 of investment. We're going to feed them the resources of UC Berkeley, labs, talent, faculty, workshops. We're going to feed them technology. They need AWS credits. They need all sorts of stuff. They're hungry for it. And most important, we're going to feed them you. You, your connections, your expertise, your excitement and your enthusiasm. That's how we're going to get to a moonshot.